I've had that message before. Okay, so always something new on Zoom, isn't there? It's always something new. Okay, so can you see me okay? Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay, that's a few puzzle looks. All right, so we're going to roll the shoulders a few times each way. And then I'm going to start by opening up the breath. So I'm going to take the hands into the center, breathing in, open up the chest. Breathing out, bring those hands back to the center. Just palms facing each other, breathe in, lift them up. And then the palms face outwards and come all the way back down. Let's reverse it. So breathing in, take the arms up, back to the center. Breathe in, open up the curtains. And back to center. Breathing in, lift up, down to touch the earth. Palms face back upwards. Breathe in, up to the sky. Hands back to the chest. Open the curtains. Touch the sky. Breathe in. Arms down to touch the earth. Palms face upwards, up to the sky. Back to the chest. And for the last time, open up the curtains. And bring the hands back to the center. Lovely. How do those shoulders feel? So some nice big deep breaths there. I'm going to take one leg out, stretch it out, curl the toes, stretch the toes, point and flex the foot, rotate the ankle, back the other way. Bend the knees, see if you can lift it a little bit towards your chest. So that depends on whether your back is happy to do that. It can stay down low if you prefer. I'm just going to swing the lower leg forwards and back. So holding the knee, let the lower leg swing forwards and back. So releasing that knee joint. It starts to work the quads, and that's the muscles on the top of the thigh. We're going to need to make those strong in order to stretch the back of the thigh. So let's drop that foot down, take the other one out. We're going to start with the toes, with a squeeze and a stretch. And a point and a flex. And have a look what the calf muscles are doing there as well behind the shin. Round and round, a couple of times each way. And then bending the leg, swing it forwards and back. Okay, lovely. So I'm going to take the first little release of the hip. I'm going to take one leg out to the side, pop the foot on the floor. So sit forwards on your chair, straddling the corner of your chair if you like. You may need a block for the front foot, you may not. Once you come forward, you might be able to get the feet on the floor. So it's a man's sitting pose, if you like. I've got one knee facing forwards and the other one out as far as it will go. So opening up the inner hips. And then I'm going to slide this hand down that leg, maybe to the shin, and back up again. Okay, so sliding down towards that hip and back up again. Making sure the feet are securely on the floor so you don't feel any tension in that hip that we've opened up there. So it's nicely pressing down into the floor with the foot. Now, if you want to, you can start to use the top arm as well so that we're swaying. So you're going to sway and release. So pause in the sway and see if you can take the hand off the knee and across the belly. So now we're getting a real stretch into that inner hip and groin, hopefully. Press the feet down into the floor, breathe in, breathe out, and release. We're going to help that leg to come back in, so put the hand underneath, guide it back in. Take the other one out as far as is comfortable. So sitting on the other corner of the chair now, just finding the space. I've got one knee forwards and the other knee out to the side. The hand on that knee that's out to the side, just seeing how it feels, sliding down and releasing. And then if you want to use the top arm, let's use the top arm, over, and release. So you might like to hold it there if it's comfortable to hold it there. You might want to keep the arm on the thigh, or you might be able to take it across the back. It makes you breathe just a little bit more strongly, so go with the breath. Breathe in, breathe out, and then release the top arm and release your neck back to the center. From the center, sitting right on the front of your chair, go round in circles. So the potter's wheel is your torso in the pelvis. There's not so much movement in the hips, but it releases all the muscles around the hips, and that's what we want to do here. So a bit like we did last week. So it releases the lower back in the buttocks and into the hips and groins. A few times each way, really feeling that release. Okay. So we're going to come down onto the floor. So when we come up to standing in a moment, and then I'm going to take various props. I'm going to have one cushion on each side, and I'm going to have the scarf or belt in my hands. Okay, so whenever you're ready, hands in front, feet firmly on the floor, breathe in. As you breathe out, put all the weight on the feet, power up the thighs and come up. Pop your chair to one side, but we will use it again in the middle of the class. So just pop it to one side. And then do all your adjustments of props. I'm going to have one cushion on each side and one pillow. Take your time, come down into semi-supine. You've got your scarf or your belt handy, just to the side or in your hands. So make sure you can see me and hear me, and then maybe adjust your screen so I can see you as well if you want any help with some of the things you might not be sure, then I can just peep at you and help. I don't like to come close to the screen and stare at you. I can see you. So this is semi-supine, where we've got the back on the floor, the feet on the floor, knees bent. Making the adjustments you need to your shoulders and your hips, your glutes. And with your feet about hip width apart, gently, just gently sway the knees very slightly from side to side. So it's not too much. I'm not trying to get down to the floor. I'm trying to just make any release across the outside and the inside of the hip joints. And then bring the knees to center and turn your head to one side and pause there, releasing the neck. And the head to the center and then over to the other side, release the neck. Shoulders away from the ears. And the head back to the center. The arms beside you, palms facing downwards. Take the arms up to the ceiling and climb up the rope. So last week, I think we climbed up the rope, seated and standing. This week, from here, so we're rocking on the back of the shoulders and releasing through the upper back. So although I'm going to take the attention to the hips and hamstrings, I don't want to ignore the rest of the body. Now, as you climb up this rope, if you want to, you could lift your head and climb a little bit higher. So that depends on your ability to lift your head comfortably. Lovely. And then if you've lifted your head, put your head down, bring your arms down and release again. So now with the hands on the belly, let's think about the pelvis. I'm going to take the feet a little bit further away from my bottom. So I'm going to walk them away from my bottom towards the other end of the mat, but the soles of the feet are still on the floor. So I'm not so far away that the feet come off the floor. We're going to do some back shunting. Those of you who've done my Healthy Backs course will know how this goes. You stick your feet into the floor and you try and push the mat away from your bottom, and you shunt up the mat. Now see if you can stick the feet to the mat and pull the mat towards your bottom with your feet. So your feet do all the work. Well, actually your thighs do all the work, but get the feet to stick to the mat. Push the mat, pull the mat. Push the mat, pull the mat. And do a few more of those. And it shunts your body up and down the mat. This is really good release for those who find that their back may be very sore one day or in spasm and you can't do anything else. Then let the feet do the work. So a couple more of those little back shunts and then come to neutral. We're going to turn it into pelvic tilts now. So with your hands on your pelvis, just see if you can press the base of the tailbone down into the floor, arching your back, maybe big enough to get a little toy car underneath there, and then draw the tummy down to the spine and flatten the back. So breathing in to arch the back, 12 o'clock, breathing out to flatten the back, 6 o'clock. Do a few more of these. So these really release the hips and groins through the pelvic muscles. Then we'll come to neutral and see if we can now take that 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So pressing one side, your right side down into the floor, the left buttock comes off the floor slightly, that's 3 o'clock, center. Press the left down, lifting the right very slightly, that's 9 o'clock, center. Try a couple more of those, tilting the pelvis from side to side by squeezing the other buttock up off the floor. Okay, so I'm going to try something else here as well, something slightly different. With your hips on your pelvis, just notice which is left and right. Doesn't matter if you've got exactly, if your lefts and rights are a little bit confused, but just name one hip left and the other hip right, okay? Now lift the left hip and buttock off the floor. Take the right hip and buttock off the floor to match it. It's only a couple of inches off the floor. Now put the first one back down, the left one back down, and then the right one back down, okay? I'm going to now name them 1 and 2 for people who don't like left and right. So lift up number 1, lift up number 2, put down number 1, put down number 2. Let's try it again. Lift up number 1, lift up number 2, put down number 1, put down number 2. Brilliant. We're going to swap it over to the other side. Lift up number 2, lift up number 1, put down number 2, put down number 1. Let's try it again. Lift up number 2, lift up number 1, put down number 2, put down number 1. Brilliant. And have a little rock of the knees again from side to side. So whether you got it exactly right or not, don't worry. It's all about moving the pelvis and trying to get some movement through the hips. I'm going to take the full clock face now. So with your pelvic tilt, go into a 12 o'clock. Let's go clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Come back to neutral. Let's go anti-clockwise, 12 o'clock. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 12, and neutral. Have another couple of pelvic movements that suit you. So if you're working on the circles, do a couple of circles. If you haven't quite got those yet, then go the 4 points. There are lots of nice release there. Okay, so once you've done that, bring your feet together and bring one knee to the chest. Doesn't matter which one. Have a pillow for your head if you need it. I've got my hands over the thigh, over the shin or under the thigh, whichever's comfortable. Breathe in. As you breathe out, draw the thigh to your belly, the belly to the floor, flatten your back, relax your shoulders. You can lift your head if you want to, but we're not trying to touch the knee. That's just to encourage more space in your upper back. I'm going to squeeze and stretch the toes again. Point and flex the foot. Rotate the ankle. Couple each way, just a couple. And then with your head back down safely, and that one hand on that knee, so the same hand as the knee, push the leg round in circles. So now we are really going into the hip joint and taking it in circles. Keep your hand on it to start with and do 3 or 4 each way. That's great. Okay. So for those of you who want to, you can now stretch the other leg out along the floor, which gives you more space in the hip. Not everybody wants to stretch that leg out, but you can have a go and see how it feels. If not, bend it again. And then I'm still taking this knee in circles, but you can leave go of it if you want to and take bigger circles to see how that hip feels. You can go in right out to the side or up high or long towards the straight leg. Really get deep into that hip joint. This is your chance to put lots of WD-40 into the hip joint. Notice any clicks or clamps. Back off if it's painful. Okay, and you start to feel it quite quickly in those hip muscles. It's the muscles and the ligaments around the hip that are not used to doing this. So let's bring the foot to the floor, stretch the leg out with the other one, give them a little shake, and then bend both knees, bring both feet to the floor. Notice the difference between the two legs, how they feel. Then bring the other knee to the chest, take a breath in. With the breath out, give it a squeeze, a hug down, so the back melts into the floor, shoulders away from the ears. Lift the head if you want to. Squeeze and stretch the toes. Point and flex. Ankle cranks. How much can you move that ankle? A couple of times each way. And then if you've lifted your head, put it back down again. Hold on to the knee with the same side hand and take that knee in circles. So pushing it round will make the hip go in circles. Imagine a big wooden spoon inside a bowl, really giving it as much movement as you can. Both directions. And if it feels comfortable, maybe slide the other leg out along the floor to give you more space. Maybe leave go of the leg if you feel confident that it's happy hip. Take it in circles. Both directions, of course, just changing whenever you want to. And give those glutes a good massage as well. Sacroiliacs, get a good massage. And then bring that leg to the floor, either foot to the floor or out straight, and give them a little shake or a little windscreen wiper in the feet. If the knees are bent, a little bit of sway of the knees. Okay, so I think most of you have got the legs out straight. Can you push the heels away, make those legs longer? And then relax the feet and windscreen wiper them from side to side. Place your hands on the tops of your legs where the hip joints are, and you can feel the movement of the muscles and ligaments there all the way around the hip joint from windscreen wipering the feet. And this is important to know because it's something you can do in bed before you even get out of bed to activate the hips. All right, so let's bend the knees now, bring the feet to the floor, and I'm going to do a lying down tree pose. So you've got your cushions, one on each side. So it doesn't matter which knee you take out to the side, but allow one knee to go out and be supported completely by cushions or pillows. Take an extra one if necessary. The other leg can go straight out on the floor. But we're not doing an active pose, so that straight leg foot can go floppy. Check both feet are comfortable. Now, if this is not comfortable to open up your hip like this at all, then come back to the knee in the center and just give it a little windscreen wiper from side to side. Well, I think all of you have gone into Supta Vrksasana, lying down tree pose. So while we're here, we're going to take control of our breath. Take your hands onto your belly, around about belly button area, elbows on the floor. Breathe in and expand the belly into the hands. As you breathe out, sigh the breath away and let the belly recede. And do a couple more. Next time you take one of those exhales, just check in with your hips. Have you managed to let go there? Is there another little bit that you can let go? Allow your hips to melt away to that openness in the hip groin area of the bent leg. One more breath into the belly, sigh the breath away. And we're going to bring that knee in. You might want to help it. So just put your hand underneath the thigh, bring the knee back to center, bend both knees, feet to the floor, adjust your pelvis, maybe take a rock of the knees from side to side. And then we're going to let the other knee go out to be supported by cushions or pillows or blocks. So lying down tree pose on the other side. Straighten out the leg that was bent. Go floppy in the feet. Release your shoulders and your head, allowing this hip and groin to open on its own by using just gravity and releasing. I'm going to go back to the breath, but slightly differently now. So I'm going to take the hands higher up to find the lower ribs and maybe wider if that's comfortable in your shoulders. So elbows are still on the floor and your hands are in your side ribs or on the lowest ribs that you can find with your fingers. I want to take the breath into those ribs now. So breathe in, expand the ribs. Make the diaphragm work and sigh the breath away. And this works the muscles between the ribs. Breathing in, expand them. Sighing the breath away. And do a couple more. As you breathe out, just check in that your hips are completely released, that your feet are relaxed. One more breath. As big as you can. And at the end of the exhale, I'm going to help that leg come back to center. Foot to the floor, both feet to the floor, and adjust the pelvis as needed. Okay, so this is where you're going to need your strap, your scarf, your belt, or TheraBand now. So have that handy. Bring one knee to the chest, and then see if you can lift your head and put your belt over the ball of the foot. Have your hands as close to the foot as you can. Keep the knee bent into the chest. Put your head down, but slide your arms a little bit if you need to put your head down. So I've still got knee to chest, and I've got the belt over the ball of the foot. So the leg is going to go up in a minute, but I want to keep those arms straight. Don't want to bend them at any point. All right, so arms as long as they can be. Crawl up the belt if your arms have bent. Start to push your foot upwards. Heel is going into the ceiling, and slide your hands down, keeping the arms straight still. Only slide them down as far as you need to get the leg straight. Now, if you need to take the leg further away from your face to make it straight, then take it further away from your face. So, Kevin, you've got the leg quite close, but the knees bent. That's it. So if you take it further away, it straightens. Brilliant. So wherever it needs to go to be straight, because the hamstrings won't stretch if the knees bend. That's it. So Maureen, slide down your belt just a little bit more. That's it. Nice. So your arms are long and relaxed. Shoulders are relaxed into the floor. So no tension in the arms. Brilliant. So from there, gently guide your leg a little bit closer to your head and away again. Keep it straight, but you're just rocking it forwards and back, releasing deep into the hip. You keep your back nice and safe on the floor, and just let your arms guide the leg into a little swing forwards and back. Some of you may be able to swing a little bit more. Others will just be finding it's just maybe half an inch. Okay. Keeping that knee straight, hold the belt in just the same hand as the leg. Just one hand, same hand as leg. I'm going to take the leg out to the side and back up, okay? So put your other hand, your spare hand, on the other hip to say to the other hip, stay on the floor. Take the leg out to the side a little bit, back up to center. Out to the side, back up to center. So we're going out and in, out and in, okay? Now, if you look at this pose, Hasta Palangustasana in the yoga books, you'll see that the people are holding their big toe with their fingers. Well, that's quite tricky for a lot of people. And you'll probably see that the leg goes right out to the floor on the side. However, if we take the leg out that far, we would probably tip over. And we want to keep both buttocks on the floor. So we're not going to try and go for the full pose. But some of you may now be able to take that leg a little bit further out, slowly. See how it feels? And then back to center. So now slowly out to the side. And back to center. So one more time, take it out. See how far it will go now. How far out will the leg go? You've still got the scarf or the belt to keep control. How far out can you let it go? And then back up to center. And with two hands, gently now, bring it forwards and back again. Forwards and back to your face and away. A little swing. Now I'm going to do the same going the other way, but when we go across the midline with the hips, sometimes hips don't like it very much. So if you know that you haven't got a very happy hip, don't go very far the other way across your midline. Now hold the belt in the hand opposite to the leg. Opposite hand to leg. And the hand that's the same as the leg stretched up is going to go into the hip and groin and pelvis of that straight leg. So you're going to press down and push away the base of that leg. Okay. Now we're going to take the leg across the midline just a little bit and back up to center. Just a little bit and back up to center. So it's going across. So Diane, take your leg a little bit to the left and then back up. To the left and back up. Everybody's got a different leg, so you're just crossing over the midline in front. But if the hip's not happy, yes, if the hip's not happy, leave it straight out. Okay, so back to the center, two hands again. Draw it forwards and back. You might find you've got loads more movement now. Okay, bend the leg, release your belt or scarf and put the foot on the floor. And notice the difference between the two legs again. It's worked quite hard, that leg. Other side, bring the other knee into the chest. We're going to hook over the ball of the foot, keep the hands close to the foot as you put your head down. Keep the arms straight, keep the knee bent to start with. And then as you straighten the leg, pushing the heel into the ceiling, slide your hands down, keeping the arms long, shoulders relaxed on the floor, and keep going until that leg is completely straight. All right, so push that knee back, open up the inner part of the knee. Rock forwards and back towards your face and away from your face. And just see how much movement there is there. So if we're going to stretch the hamstrings, that leg has to be straight, otherwise it won't work. That's good, lovely. So then taking the belt in the same hand as the leg, and the spare hand on the other hip. I'm going to go out to the side. So out a little bit, back to center. Start gently, out a little bit, back to center, just to make sure you're not going to hit any pieces of furniture. Out and in. So Angela, try and hold just with one hand, and the other one can stabilize your hip. That's it. And try and straighten that knee. Brilliant, I know. So just pushing into the heel to straighten the leg. Out and in. Some of you may now be able to slow it down and start to go out a little bit further and in slowly. So out as far as is comfortable. You've got control because you've got the belt. And you really stretch those inner hips. That's good, Mike. Lots of space there. And Kevin, nice. Quite often men's hips are even tighter than women's, and it's like you just need to release. That's good. Okay, so maybe you'll be able to go out to the side and just hold it for a little moment. If your cushion's still there underneath the thigh, it's quite nice. Push into the heel, lengthen through the leg, feel the space. Coming back up to center when you're ready. So in a moment, I'm going to go the other side, but this is for happy hips only, it's not to force. So I'm going to hold the belt in the opposite hand to leg, placing the spare hand, pushing down into the hip and groin of the straight leg, and a little bit across the midline and back up. Okay? And if it's not suitable, you bend your knees, bring the feet to the floor, and just windscreen wipe the knees. And nice and gently with this motion. All right, then back to center. One more of those swinging forwards and back, forwards and back. See how it feels. Have you got more movement now? You can release it. Definitely, I can see more movement. Okay, and I'm going to bend the knee, bring the foot to the floor. Also, those hips have had some movement there. So pop the scarf, belt or tie to the side. We'll come back to it later. Have your feet as wide as the mat now. And windscreen wiper those knees as much or as little as feels comfortable after that activity. So just windscreen wiper the knees with the feet wide. And then take the feet and the knees back to the center. I'm going to roll over to the side and come onto all fours. So take your time, roll all the way over. And then take some padding for your knees in cat position. When you get there, just rock forwards and back. And take your time. So in our daily lives, we use our hips a lot. We're always bending down, we're always walking, we're always sitting. What we don't tend to do during the course of the day is take the hips in circles. So they've had lots of circles there on our back, but we can take circles here as well. So start to take your bottom in circles, and now those hips are weight bearing and they're being moved inside the pelvic sockets there. So round in circles, a couple each way. This releases the lower back as well. And don't forget your shoulders. Let your shoulders join in to the party. And let's see if we can take this a little bit further. I'm going to take a figure of 8. So imagining that the waist of the 8 is between your thumbs. The pencil is on the end of your nose. Go forwards as far as you can to draw your 8. And then cross over between the thumbs and go back as far as you can go. So a nice big 8 shape. This moves the shoulders and the hips in opposite directions. So we start to move the oblique muscles through the back. So figure of 8 cat position. And then if you can, change direction, go round the other way. Come to neutral cat, drop the shoulders away from the ears. Walk your hands back towards your knees, come up to high kneeling. Okay. I'm going to grab that chair again, so whether you want to crawl to your chair or whether you want to come up and get your chair, then you decide. Mandy, I know you don't have a chair. You can stay kneeling. What we're going to do, what we did yesterday. But I'm going to do it with the chair, okay? So coming up to standing. Bring your chair back. So yesterday we did this kneeling on the floor, and it's something you can do kneeling, but we're going to use the chair and just lift up and open the hips a little bit more for you guys, so it doesn't feel too crunched up and it doesn't put the weight on the knees. I'm going to face the chair. My chair's facing forwards as I was sitting on it earlier, and I'm going to put one foot up on the chair. It doesn't matter which one, but you probably want to put the one that's closest to the screen so you can see. So foot is up on the chair. If you find the chair is too big for you and you need to put the other foot on something, you could. Ideally, I would probably be standing on a block, because you can see I'm so short that my knee is way higher, but I can cope with that. That's okay. But if you find that you feel that the chair's a bit high for you, you could stand on something. I'm just looking at you all. I think you all look okay. So ideally, the knee is in line with the hip. Yeah. But I'm just so short. Okay, so we're going to standing up nice and tall. And then I'm going to take the hands into the chest. Lift up the chest, so we're not putting too much pressure into the hips. Lift up and turn towards your bent knee. Towards the bent knee. Lovely. And then open the arms. So I've got the back of the hand on the outside of the knee, and I've got the other hand back behind me. So I'm turning towards the bent knee. This is an internal rotation of the hip joint there. Lovely. We're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. Press your heel into the floor to lift your hips a little bit higher. And breathing out. One more time. Breathe and expand the chest. And breathing out, release. Come back to the front to that leg. So now I want to stretch the hamstring on the leg. So I'm going to put the heel on the chair. So I've got a straight leg. And using the back of the chair to help you if you want to, see if you can hinge forwards a little bit until those hamstrings go, yo, that's enough. All right, so the leg is straight if you can, Viv. We're stretching the back of the hamstrings here. We've got a straight leg, that's it. If you go from the side of the chair, then you can still hold the back of the chair. All right, so you can have a little massage of those hamstrings. Put your hands underneath, dig your fingers in, see what they feel. What do they feel like? Other hand, Mike, then you won't fall over. That's it. So feel those knobbly bits in the hamstrings. Give them a little massage. Brilliant. And then come back up and release that leg. I'm going to go for the other leg. So put the other foot up onto the chair. Press down in the heel to lift your hips higher. Place the hands in front of your chest. Drop your shoulders down. This leg is straight if you can. It can be bent if you're really struggling. Breathe in, lift the chest. Breathe out, turn towards the bent knee. You might be turning away from me now, as I am. Open up the arms so that the back of one hand is pushing the knee in towards the center of your body, and the other hand is reaching back behind you. Shoulders away from the ears. Press the heel down to make yourself taller. Breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. Bring the hands back to the center and then slide the leg longer on the chair. So you're making it long. Heel is on the chair now, and then back of the leg is straight. Brilliant. You can stay upright or you can start to hinge forwards, hinging from the hips until you feel that stretch in the hamstring. So hamstrings are on the back of the thigh. You can give them a little massage, still holding the chair, and just dig your fingers in. There are 3 muscles collectively called the hamstrings in the back of each leg. You might be able to feel some tightness behind the knee, maybe there's tightness halfway up, or maybe the tightness is in the back of the hip. Release with a bit of a massage. That's it. And then bend the leg, put that foot back onto the floor. Bend both knees, place the hands onto the thighs and have a little wriggle of your hips and your bottom to release the very top of those hamstrings there that's been stretched. And then push the knees forwards and come on up. I'm going to come and sit back on the chair, just looking for my block. So come and sit on your chair again. And taking the hands together and up, and breathe in to cactus arms. Lift the elbows a little bit higher if you can so that they are shoulder height rather than down here. So up a little bit and give the hands a little shake. So Mike's saying that I'm frozen. Are the rest of you, am I frozen? No? Okay. Everyone else can see me all right. It must be Mike's. Okay, so breathe in, open up. Breathing out, bring them together. Breathing in, open up. Breathing out, bring them together. One more time. Breathing in and breathing out. Lovely. Release those arms down. Remember how we took one leg out to the side that way? And what I want to do now is take both out if possible. So you're going to come and sit right on the front of the chair and take both knees out. And Mandy, we did this standing yesterday, goddess pose. So you could do it standing if you want to. So in my general classes this week, it's a standing pose. For you guys, I'm going to have it seated on the chair so it can really open the hips without worrying about balancing as well. So we're going to get those feet maybe just a little bit further out. Can you push the knees out until you feel those hips and groins? Okay. And then we're going to do it with the arms. Is it all right now, Mike? Yeah, okay. So we've got real wide knees here. Brilliant. You're going to feel this on the hips and groins. So you're sitting on your chair to give you the stability, and then we're going to take the goddess arms as well, cactus arms. So lift them, breathe in, and breathe out. Breathe in, push the knees back with the inhale and the elbows, and breathe out. One more time, breathe in, push those knees back, and breathe out. Release the arms. Take one hand across the belly, the other hand over the head, and then lean on the thigh. Breathe in, breathe out, rest there. Breathe in, breathe out. Changing sides, release that top arm. One hand across the belly, the other arm across the head, or on the shoulder, or on the waist. You know what your shoulders are happy with. And breathe in, breathe out. Press those feet into the floor, push the knees back, breathe in. Breathe out. Lovely. Release that arm. Oh, these knees are going to come back in. One at a time. Bring them back into the center. That's it. And rock forwards and back. Forwards and back. All right, I'm going to come up to standing, and then we will come back down to the floor. So hands into the center, push the feet into the floor to bring you up to standing. And I'm just going to stand to the side of the chair to help me now. So I've got the chair there if you need it, because I'm going to take one leg off the floor. It doesn't matter which one, but take the leg off the floor and take it out and in, out and in. So we're working these hip muscles again, working the joint. Brilliant. You can balance if you want to, or you can hold the chair. So I'm going to go for the other side. Now, if you're going to hit the chair, you might want to stand the other side, but if you can lift it and go out and in, maybe balancing. And then bring it back down to the floor. With the feet hip width apart, bend the knees, have another little wriggle in Utkatasana. I'm going to take Utkatasana a little bit more strongly. So if you want to have the be behind your chair, you could be behind your chair for this so that your hands can be supported. Okay? Or you can freestyle with the hands off the chair. So knees bent, arms stretched forwards, either on the chair or off the chair. Pull those tummy muscles in, tuck the tailbone under, shoulders are relaxed. Press the feet into the floor and take the arms all the way up. Breathe in, up they go. Release them beside you. Slide down again to strengthen those thighs. Bring the arms parallel to the floor, either on the chair or freestyle. Tuck the tailbone under, engage your abdominals, press the feet into the floor, breathe in, take the hands to the ceiling, and bring the arms back down again. Just one more, really strengthen those thighs. Slide down as far as you can, bring the arms parallel to the floor. Focus on your feet pressing down, tummy pulled in, tailbone tucked under very slightly, shoulders relaxed. Breathe in to come up. Breathe out to release. Lovely. All right. Have any kind of little wriggle you need. Maybe a little hula hoop. So your hips are so released now, you can hula hoop. And we're going to come back onto the floor, onto our back, and some other bits and pieces here to completely release those hips and shoulders now. Okay. So popping the chair to one side. Have your cushions and pillows handy again. Have your scarf handy. Now, what I'd like to do with the scarf is as you come down onto the floor, can you stretch the scarf out along your mat, not along the mat, across the mat, and have one cushion each side for your knees and a pillow if you need a pillow. So the reason I want the scarf out there is because when you lie down, it's going to be on the back of your ribs. The scarf is behind your ribs or your tie or your belt, whatever you've got. It's kind of just below the armpits, sort of bra strap area, if you've got a bra strap. All right, so just out widthways. Come to semi-supine, take a couple of breaths, take a couple of wriggles, adjust your position. So take the hands back to the belly. We're going to have 3 belly breaths. Breathe in, expand your belly into your fingers. Blow the breath away. 2 more of those. Make them as long as you can. And with the feet and the knees hip width apart, bring one knee to the chest and then take the outside of the ankle on the opposite thigh, pushing the knee away of that bent leg to create space now in your hip and groin. Have a little rock from side to side on the back of the pelvis, so rocking from one buttock to another with your leg in this 4 position. It's actually called lying down pigeon pose, but I didn't want to mention pigeon. So 4 position, rocking from side to side. Now from the center, you may or you may not be able to now take the other foot off the floor, which brings the whole arrangement closer to your chest. So you take the other foot off the floor. Now you might then be able to take your hands and hold the back of the thigh that is the foot's resting on. It is quite strong, so don't force it. Keep the foot on the floor if you prefer. You might be able to, it's called threading the needle, holding the back of the thigh. You've got it, Angela, that's it, yeah. Okay, so pop the foot back down onto the floor if you lifted it, and see how that foot is hooked over and the knee is in the air out to the side. That knee that's in the air is going to come down onto your cushions, okay? So gently over to one side, support the whole structure so that the foot that's hooked over is up in the air. Brilliant. Shoulders stay on the floor. The rest of the body stays facing the ceiling, and you've just taken the structure that you created, this 4 structure, over to the side with the hooked over foot on the top. Allow the hips to release here. Breathe in, breathe out. I'm going to come back to the center with an exhale. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, bring the structure back to the center. Take that hooked over foot up towards the ceiling. Give it a shake. And bring the foot back down to the floor. Bring the other knee to the chest. Hook the outside of the ankle on the opposite thigh and push the knee away as much as is comfortable in your hip. Have a little rock from side to side. This is your massage stage, and you can stay with the massage if anything else doesn't feel right. For those who want to, you can lift the structure by taking the foot that's on the floor off the floor, drawing the thigh towards you, and then it brings the hip of the lifted leg closer to, and you might be able to hold behind the thigh. So not everyone can do that. Don't worry if you can't, just keep rocking from side to side. So if you've lifted your fore structure, pop it back down again, and it's going to go over now and rest on the floor, so that the foot that's hooked over is up towards the ceiling, sole of the foot exposed. We'll stay here for a couple of breaths, releasing both hips. We'll come back to the center on an exhale if we can, so take a lovely breath in. As you breathe out, suck the belly to the spine, bring your fore structure back to the center, stretch the leg up to the ceiling and give the foot a little shake. Put the foot back down onto the floor. Feet a bit wider than the hips, gently windscreen wiper the legs from side to side. Okay, so this scarf that we've got out underneath the ribs here, we're going to bring it across the front and tie a knot in it. So you're going to tie a knot so that it's quite tight. It's not stopping you from breathing, but you're aware that you've got this tied around the lower part of the ribs. And it might be just one knot you might want to, but just be careful that it's not too tight and you can release it if needed. All right, and this is to make us more aware of the ribs breathing. So with that scarf, and if it doesn't suit you, please do just go back to having your hands on your lower ribs as we did at the beginning. So this is an alternative. Breathing in, see if you can expand those ribs forwards into the scarf or belt, sideways into the scarf or belt, and backwards. Can you expand the whole rib cage? Feeling the constraint and then releasing. Open your mouth wide and try to yawn. So you should be able to yawn successfully without it constricting you, but you should feel that there's a little bit of effort in expanding the rib cage. Adjust it if necessary. And now I'm going to take both knees out to the side in a Supta Baddha Konasana, lying down, butterfly pose. So the soles of the feet come together and you've got enough padding or cushions out to the side to release each thigh, to receive each thigh. If you find it's a little bit low, then just gather them in and fold them up, fold them in half. That works usually. Fold the cushion in half. And squish it down with your thigh. So that you've got both knees out to the side and both equally at ease. Relaxed, released. Place the hands into the tops of the hips, into the groin area. And you could put a blanket there or another cushion as well as weight and warmth. If you like, that's quite nice. We're taking a nice big breath in. Sigh the breath away. Relax your lower back. Hips, thighs, knees. Release your feet and your ankles. And your hands can now go wherever's comfortable, either on the belly or out to the side. Notice only your breath. No need to control it, but just focus on it, notice it. And soften your face, soften your forehead. Allow your legs to let go. With no tension in the inner legs, no tension in the feet. Take another one of those big breaths, expanding into the scarf or tie. And then we're going to untie that aid to our breathing. Just untie it now, release yourself. Stretch it out again along the floor. And stay for another couple of breaths, noticing the freedom that's given you. When you release constriction, you feel more freedom. So it's the same with all of the muscles, joints of the body. Our yoga poses create some stretches and then some releases. I'm going to gently bring those knees back into the center now. So you might like to help them by placing your hands under the thighs and bringing the knees back together. Keep those cushions handy because we'll put them under the knees for relaxation. But for now, just stretch one leg out along the mat and wriggle that foot around. And then change, bending that leg and stretching the other one out along the mat and wriggle the foot. We're going to stretch both legs out along the mat and be bananas. So I'm going to walk my feet over to one edge of the mat, both of them, seeing how that outer hip feels about it. And if it wants to come back to the center, bring it back to the center. I'm going to do the crossed arms version. So I'm going to cross my arms in front of the chest, holding the elbows, and let the elbows draw down towards the side that the foot has gone over. So both shoulders stay on the floor, both buttocks stay on the floor. If you can straighten out your arms and put them behind your back and you prefer to do that, then do that. Otherwise, the crossed arms version across the chest is nice for shoulders that are not weary. Breathe in, breathe out. Bring the arms back to center, bring the legs back to center. You might want to lift your head to just check. Walk the feet over to the other side of the mat, and if the outer leg, the outer side of the leg that's moved across is not happy, then just bring it back to the center. You could cross the arms across the chest and let the elbows go over that side, or you could take the arms behind you into the full banana. Your choice as to how much goes over there. But have a nice breath in and a nice long breath out, and relax there. And bring the arms back to center and the legs back to center. Bend the knees again. Bring the feet to the floor. A little sway of the knees once more. And then bring both knees to the chest. One hand on each knee. And see if you can push them away and wide and towards you so that you're taking those knees in circles, but it's actually the hips going in circles. So the tops of the legs into the pelvis going in circles, just as we did at the beginning, but now with two together. Going in both directions. And you can have the knees stuck together or you can take them in opposite directions. I always think if you take them in opposite directions, you get bigger circles. So whatever works for you at the end of this class. So plenty of circling to release. And then whenever you're ready, Shavasana, relaxation position. Now you might want to just grab those cushions and pillows and pop them underneath your knees. That's quite a nice release. Or you might like to have your lower legs up on the chair or the sofa. We want those hips and groins to be completely relaxed. So if you're on the floor, maybe more of a star shape than normal. And adjust so that you're warm enough. Cover your eyes if you want to. If you haven't got your eye pillow handy, then that scarf or tie would be nice just across the eyelids. So once you get into your comfortable position, take a nice long breath in and a nice long breath out. Very gently now, bring your awareness back to your breathing. And back to your fingers and toes. And drawing the energy back towards the center, so bending the arms and bending the knees. Bring the soles of the feet back to the floor. Take a roll to one side and pause there. Whenever you're ready, you can keep rolling over and you can stay seated on the floor or you can come up to your chair. Once you're in seated, you might want to just rock from side to side, or you might want to go forwards and back, or maybe even those little circles. It's quite nice to just give everything a release at the end there. And then take the hands to the center and breathing in, open the curtains and bring the hands back to the center. Palms facing each other, breathe in, look up to the sky and touch the earth. Turn the palms upwards, breathe in, up to the sun and bring it all back into your chest. Pause, drop your head. Notice your breath. And my quote this week is, words come from your lips, but your mood comes from your hips. So hopefully opening up into a big smile today, open up the curtains. Namaste. Thank you very much.